Friday night. It's Neil Atkinson in Nova Scotia with Pete Bolster, with Dan Morgan, with Rob Gutmann. It's nice that Rob's come back from Portugal. Portuguese Rob, big call him. It is a pleasure that he is back and he looks resplendent, absolutely resplendent. We're here with Erdinger. It's a pleasure to be here and getting stuck into Liverpool 0, Atalanta 3. And just before we start the show, Dan Morgan said something interesting because people talk. And the thing he said was, all the games he watched this week, the English team's opponents look fitter than the English teams in Europe. And I'm struck by this because I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing when I was watching a couple of the games over the course, the Champions League games especially. And one of the things that you miss is how arduous this league is. Game in, game out. The level that you've got to be at, the physical sort of capacity. And also, the other thing you miss, Dan, is that the biggest game of the week tends to be for the European teams, the European games. Whereas currently in the Premier League, that same luxury doesn't even exist for Aston Villa. They've got to have a conversation as to whether or not Arsenal's a bigger game or whether or not Brentford's a bigger game because they want to get a Champions League place. It's so competitive than Lille, which is a big game. And I think that all of this is adding into sides finding it a bit difficult at times.
So I think that's the thing. So you imagine your man, what's his name, Atalanta's manager?
Gasperini.
Gazprom.
Yeah.
Gazpromini. You imagine him on the plane last night. Is he preparing straight away for whatever Serie A side they've got on Sunday, or are they all having chats about what they do against Liverpool next Thursday? I think they're having chats about what they do against Liverpool next Thursday because I think it is the bigger game, and I think for Premier League sides, ultimately, the bread is buttered at home, and it has to be because the intensity, the level of opposition, but also I think it's just more financially viable to finish higher in the Premier League, and there's priorities there as well. And
I think have a game that Guardiola.
I don't know. Sorry.
Guardiola said Real Madrid will have had 9 days to prepare for that game. There used to be this thing where their leagues would sort of like clear their schedule.
Real has a game, but they're like 10 points, 15 points ahead of the top of the league. So that would be what he's saying, is that ultimately they can just write that one off, not worry about it, and just get stuck into it. And that's what he's saying. He's saying that basically they can focus and prioritise. And I think this is the key thing. A lot of these sides, like Munich, clearly wrote off their weekend game that they don't win against a fictional football team. And it's all right because we've lost that league. Leverkusen are going to win it, so we're not going to take it seriously. And I think, Pete, this is, Munich were able to do that against Arsenal. But I think it's interesting. I think it is, don't get me wrong, Liverpool were not good enough against Atalanta. This is not about excuses, but Liverpool were almost using the Atalanta game to get players fit, in form, in rhythm for the league games that are to come. Atalanta are treating the Liverpool game as this is the biggest game of our season.
Yeah, definitely, and I think some of the fans, I certainly was one of them. A few days ago, I was calling for us to work backwards from the Palace game, and look what I got for it. Do you know what I mean? So
you got a big bowl of 3-0. That's what you got.
I mean, I did predict 3-0. Didn't say who for, so I'll take that. No, I think what you got to remember as well is the snobbery that English clubs have towards the Europa League as well. For the past 20 years, the UEFA Cup used to be a prestigious trophy. And unless you're in the semi-final, the final, no one really cares. But in Europe, it's not seen as that. So,
massive.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. Sevilla have done that over the last few years, haven't they? Loads of clubs really going for it.
It's Atalanta's best route to get to Champions League football next season, as it stands.
Currently sixth, yeah. They're currently sixth. They're very topsy-turvy, Atalanta as well. So they've lost like 10 games this season in the league, so they're definitely not formidable. But in the cup, we know, we've been a cup side for many years before Klopp came, that you can have a real good goal, you can have a real good tactical plan. They've done that last night, didn't they? So, I get it. I get the whole fitness thing. I get the fact that like I said, we had to work backwards. But I don't know. There was just too many changes last night.
I think there's just something else as well that I just think ultimately you end up stereotyping a bit here and generalising massively. But ultimately, they just look like they back themselves tactically a bit more. Whereas I think you can just place so much doubt in sides domestically early on if you lay that seed. Whereas you just watch Munich the other night and they're like, it's fine. We can allow this, we can let it happen, but we know we only need to work 2 passes and we can get in
Madrid
here.
as well.
Yeah, I think Liverpool do well against.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool do well against the man-to-man teams. I think we've done it previously. We've whacked Leeds 6-0. I don't think Atalanta were that that great. I know everyone keeps going on about how great they were, but I'm not so sure.
I like how much you never rate any team that beats us.
I agree.
I don't. I really think.
So do you. You hate any team that beats us. They're always shite.
I think that's why Klopp went so mad, because he was thinking this side it was good enough. I think the problem is with some of the players. You brought in Tsimikas, he's come out from the cold, and he's not the greatest left back in the world anyway. He's come out from the cold. You put Elliott right forward, and it never works. Never ever works, because you just nullify the front three. There's only two up front then.
But he nearly puts it top bins within 15 minutes. There's a different story of this game, to be
No,
real.
and I totally get that. And obviously we can touch upon Darwin Núñez, isn't it? There's a vital moment there where he should just open his body and put it in the corner, and he doesn't do that. And I think it does change the game. I was listening to Adam Melia before, and he was saying that it does. And I think goals change games. It changes the confidence of them. And would they be back in their whole tactical plan at that point? I'm not really sure. But there was, we spoke about before, haven't we, Neil, that about Liverpool like triangles. They like playing in threes, and there was none of that last night. There wasn't even like 1-2s. They weren't close enough. They were too far apart. And I think it was a deliberate tactical plan at one point. But then they just couldn't pass the ball to each other. And when they did, they couldn't even control it. So I just think it was just a really poor performance.
I think it's a sliding doors kind of game. The first 20 minutes I think we were fantastic. I thought for a much changed team, we were totally on top of them. I thought they were shite. I thought they were like,
We're going to pin this to the dressing room wall for Thursday, Rob.
I thought they were there for the taking. I thought they're not as good as Wolves on the day. And then we missed chances. I couldn't believe how high they were. It was so naive. I thought, why are we fucking dicking about at the back? One ball over the top. Darwin's a willing runner. In fact, we do a ball over the top, and suddenly Darwin's in, fluffs it. But he could have had 5 of those if we'd been a bit more on our game early on. But we get to that point where we get a bit frustrated. We all sigh because Harvey's at the bar, feel unlucky because Darwin's missed a sitter. And then suddenly they've scored, and everyone's going, why the hell did that happen? And we never really recovered from that moment. And I partially agree with Dan's tiredness view, but then again we have 5 subs, which would be my only counting.
I think it's more the idea.
It's mentally tired.
But I think also Dan's point, which I think is a really valid one, is that we do treat it as a little bit. The manager will say pick the team to win, and he will have picked the team to win. I'm not saying he hasn't, but we do treat it as we're using this game to get some rhythm into some of these boys, and this is what we're doing and what we're about. He doesn't start Salah. Salah's in his first 11. He doesn't start Diaz. Diaz is in his first 11. He starts Jones. So we think he's right to do that. But this is the point of how the game then plays out.
Here's a question for you on that. If we put that line up last night out against Sheffield United, do you think the game would have unfolded in any way like it did last night?
That's a good question. Do I think that? What did we do against Sheffield? We went full strength.
Pretty much full strength. I think there was one change that was a bit.
Well, I think we struggled against Sheffield United a bit. So,
yeah, well, we did. Yeah. I think so. Because I think the team.
I don't think Sheffield United beat us 3-0.
Do you know what I think?
Yeah,
I think Klopp's selection. He said in the post-match he was asked, "Do you regret the 6 changes?" He goes, "No, I did exactly the same again." I think the changes were the least of our problems, and we had this epic bench to bring on that made no significant difference. I think my biggest concern is that we've gone through a phase where we didn't really have much choice. We had to throw the kids in, but everyone was fit and in rhythm. Since then, we've got Salah's back. But he's not been back, really. For whether people want to go, it's to do with Ramadan or Eid or whatever's going on. Although it's got us some goals, because he will always get us some goals. There's some penalties. He's not been the Salah. We saw that. You remember that cameo against Brentford where he plays 55 minutes? It's exceptional. That's peak Salah. He scores, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's not been anything like that player. I would say Soboslai's had the odd 10, 20 minutes, but he was disastrous in the second half last night. He's not been the same player. So I think we've been reintegrating a few players. We think, oh, God, I'm made up, he's back. Robertson, he's had his moments, but he's not he's not game in, game out. He can do, Robertson.
He was good against United.
He was good, but he wasn't great last night. Was he great?
They're coming on into a bit of a funny scenario, but I take your point.
We're reintegrating players, and I think we were about to see it again. By the way, we got Trent and Jota and all this. So there is a significant rhythm issue. Also, quite frankly, football goes in cycles. Even when you look at Arsenal and goes, well, how good Arsenal are. Well, around between December the 25th and January the 8th, they were fucking awful. And they lost 2 games and they drew with us.
They got beat by us.
And they got beat by us. They drew with us. They lost to West Ham. They lost to somebody else. They lost to Fulham. They were shite. Our challenge is to take the wobble and go, well, we're still top of the fucking league, joints. That's our challenge.
So we said something on review today, which was that and I think this is why it's almost played out the way it is that I think what he's looking to do, the manager, is ultimately get to a point where, which he does a lot around this time of the season, where he can just put his first 11 out every game.
He's going to get that chance now.
Well, I think that moment in his head was around the away leg of this tie.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately we've just had our eye wipe last night. And I massively take your point, and I massively agree with your point that in loads of ways you don't want to shout it too high from the rooftops, but we've had a little bit of hard lines last night in that
I think we have.
at every moment in which we could have, probably should have scored, they went the other end.
Even the disallowed goals, a classic case. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably quite fine, that decision.
It was fine.
Their third, I know a couple of theirs, I'm going, well, that's offside. I know it's not, but you got to come on. You know, in a non-VAR game, it's probably a 2-1, 2-2 game.
Yeah.
I think if you go back to City, where I think we're the better team, and you can talk about the penalty, the Luis Diaz misses, we should beat City. We should beat United in the Cup, we're so much better than them. We should finish 2-0, 3-0. Then we've got what, the league game reprise, you know? Even Brighton where we win, we're so unlucky to be one down. You see, he just scores a fluke worldie. It's not because they do anything clever. He scores a fluke worldie, and it's a football match as opposed to probably the 4-0 it probably could have been, like Arsenal virtually got. Sheffield's a bit of the same thing. Then United in the Cup again.
In the league.
United in the league. So we're having a bit of a spell. But this is the challenge. This is the difference between greatness and mediocrity. This is why I know we joke about this is the biggest game in X number of years, but this Palace game is the ultimate test of the manager, really, I think. And it is almost like the pivotal moment, I think, in his Liverpool tenure. In a certain sense, it's like, because if you don't get this right on Sunday, there's every which way I can see this is a horrible result on Sunday. We've seen this play. But if we just get over the line, then I think we're reset. And then okay, come on, let's breathe. We'll only be behind on goal difference, worst case scenario, but we can go, we can push. I believe if we beat Palace, Fulham will be a problem, and so on and so on. So the great things there, but this is a cusp game, and this time I mean it.
I think,
you know what I mean?
I mean it too, but also...
I think there's two things that though, isn't it? I think when you talk about complacency and you're putting a starting 11 out, if it was a Champions League quarter-final last night, starting 11 plays.
But then I don't know what happens against Palace then, because it's not a starting 11
No,
against Palace.
you're right, but I think as well, as in the unluckiness part, is definitely in the sense of we've missed key players for so long. We've had second and third choice right backs, left backs. We've had fourth and fifth choice centre halves, and it's been too long. The second choice goalkeepers played more than Alisson Becker all season, and I think in defining moments last night, and I know that we were poor, but in defining moments last night we were poor in both penalty boxes. 2 goals shouldn't have went in for me. It's as simple as that. So I think
he does make a world-class save, Keller, in the first.
He does, but this is where you end up saying, yeah, but it's tough. It's Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to be the best. You want to play for the best. You've got to therefore make sure that you do the. And it sounds unbelievably harsh. Don't get me wrong.
I'm in the stage like we let Alisson off everything, right? We do let Alisson off everything. We go, he cost us the game against Arsenal.
Could be fair.
Fuck it. I feel Kelleher has earned the right.
Oh, he has. No,
to
absolutely.
Be forgiven.
No, I'm absolutely fine
and
with
I
that.
don't even mean just grudgingly forgiven. I
just think he's very good.
I just think he's really,
very good.
really good.
No, I'm not convinced. I think he's coached well. I think he reminds me more of Kasper Schmeichel than he does of Alisson Becker, in the sense where he comes out.
But I'm all right with that. Kasper Schmeichel won the league.
Yeah, Kasper Schmeichel's fine.
That was a massive personality.
I'm more. It's not about having a go at Keller anyway, because he's the second choice keeper. It's more the fact that I'm saying that. It's not just Keller. You playing Quansah, you're playing
versus Gomez.
Yeah.
Shimikas versus Robertson.
Exactly.
Quansah versus the idea of Matip.
Gomez has been brilliant all season, but that distribution last night, it's not the same as Trent Alexander-Arnold. So that's what my point is. So it's not really throwing anyone under a bus. It's more lamenting the fact that we're missing vital players.
More in a second. Getting stuck in here. Erdinger, Nova Scotia, pleasure.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
welcome back. Still obviously got Dan, Pete and Rob. No one's gone anywhere. We're all settled in, bedded in fact, for a big one. As far as I'm concerned, Pete, to Rob's point, biggest game of our lives. This is it. They've got to win 7. If they win 7, I'm convinced they'll win the league. But they've got to win 7. It starts now.
Is there still 7 left?
7 left.
That's
7 left. 7 to go. 7 to do. 7 to win. And no one's got more points than them. They have to simply win 7. And you know what? If Arsenal then won it on goal difference, we all shake hands.
What's your deal on 6? Can I divert?
What?
What's your deal on 6 out of 7?
No. But I would probably have dealt on 8 out of 9.
I'm going to say, I know you don't say I'd deal on 6 out of 7. I think I'd do it.
Deal on 6 and a draw.
Yeah.
I'd have dealt on 8 and a draw out of 9. I'm not now dealing on this, not least because I think our rivals look like really good football teams. So as far as I'm concerned, I want 7.
I'll sell my wife for 7. I'm not fine with that. I'll part
There you
with
go.
it.
The kids are finished.
The kids are gone, yeah.
Yeah, I've got
Take
the
one
kids,
of
all
them.
of them.
7. We've got to go for it now. I think we've got 4 away games in a row, haven't we?
Robert deal on 4 for Rafi.
Especially after
4 away games in a row. We've got Everton in the middle of that. I think it's obviously going to be an absolute topsy-turvy time, so it's not going to be easy by no means, but it's definitely achievable. Palace Sunday is obviously the biggest game because I was speaking to the lads last night, and if we don't win Sunday, we're not meeting up the week after for this big Everton game or whatever. It's just not going to happen. It's just another game then, isn't it? So I think if you drop points against them, you're out of it. And yeah, it's
well, you are and you aren't. I'm let's not lose our head stamp, as if I have any influence on this. But if you know that virtual world where you're in the dressing room with them, I'm saying don't lose your heads.
I'm saying that as well, but you've got to win your homes.
We have to win the matches, right? But this is a key phase to not lose heads, and that's why even if, we might lose, but even if we draw with Palace and we end up 2 points off the pace, I'm going to be devastated. And don't talk to me and don't put me on any shows, by the way.
Oh, you'll not turn up.
No, I won't.
I know your tricks.
I know, but by the Thursday or whatever it is, I'll still be there. In as much as mentally there, as much as it's not lost, because we are very attuned to, they, meaning Man City, do win every game. And it is slightly weirder facing 2 because there's 2 hits at them winning every game, which is Phil Blundell, as ever, God love him, did point out that statistically the chances of everyone winning every game is long. It's much. I think from here on in, Arsenal, he worked out for Arsenal to win every game is 10-1. What's that, 10 or 10%, 9%, something like that. City is higher, obviously it's going to be something like 15, 16%. So those 2 are very, very, very unlikely to win all their games. The trouble is, so are we. That's why I would deal on 6 out of 7. And a bookie would say, well, if we win 6 out of 7, we'll win the league. I promise you, they'd go, yeah.
But if we win 7 out of 7, I think we do win the league.
Will win,
I don't think Arsenal will do it. I think they'll slip up at some points, and I think Europe comes into that as well. So if they go away to Bayern Munich and they're fortunate enough to go through, I think that semi-final, they think they've got Spurs in between that or just after that, and they just think...
I think Chelsea's a banana skin.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got quite a few games. And I think we've got that lived experience of City, and you just think no one can beat them. And it's daunting, but as good as they are, and they are on for the treble, and it's not nice to think about, but they are, and they might finish on it. They don't look as good as last season.
Every team we're playing from now to the end of the season, with the exception of Tottenham, which had a lot of fucking context, we've already beat. We've already beaten them once, we played them once, we've already beat them once. Everyone we play now, apart from Tottenham, we've already played and beaten. Sunday's the biggest game of our lives, like that crowd, I want to be in there, I can't wait to be in there, to be honest with you. I am absolutely desperate for it. I'd go now if it was possible, because...
We're going to pick teams in a minute.
Yeah, we are.
There's no other way to ride this. You can either look at us as, a side that is champions-elect and has the pedigree and can go the distance, or you see us as a little bit of a plucky underdog. And I think that's fine, by the way. It's worth noting that Man United and Newcastle finished above us in the league last season. So I was going into this season taking Arsenal as my barometer, just saying where we finish in comparison to Arsenal will tell me how far this team has come. But I just thought City would be their own thing. So to be where we are is just, it's wonderful. And then there's the added context of the manager. I take your point that we've beaten every side we've got left to play. But I think we look like a bit of a different outfit than we've looked at previous points this season right now. We look a bit more of a basket case. And I don't
We're
like
not
that.
peaking, are we, by any fucking stretch?
No, so you take a fixture like Tottenham at home. Actually, that fixture really worries me because that's a basket case of a fixture anyway, and we're a basket case. So I don't know what that game's going to be.
So this is why the most important thing that happens on Sunday is that they win in the same.
Yeah, but that's at the minute that feels like a bit of a big ask to just beat Palace 2-0,
No, to use a
which has
metaphor,
been the thing since February, right? Like we can't be losing 2-0 at home on a Wednesday. It has to be your long night of the soul again. And so we're back to this thing of like, which is a little bit 13-14 in a way. Like, how much of this is just mentally zapping from an energy perspective? Like, how many games do you have to start at 0-1?
This is why you
It'd
want.
be fucking great just to win 3-0.
This is why you want the best.
Please, yeah.
Look, you can build a case in every single one of these games, especially how we feel today, how we'll drop points. I can imagine how we don't beat Fulham. I can imagine how we don't beat Crystal Palace. I certainly can imagine how we don't beat Everton or don't beat Spurs or struggle against Wolves. I can find a way that we drop points in every fucking single game and we just end this season terribly. But it only takes one correction for me to go bounce into Fulham or bounce into the next one. There's a part of me that still doesn't fear Everton, and I'm not allowing myself to fear that Everton game. I think if it matters, I think we'll blitz them. I suppose there's three ways this plays out. Horribly, that we're out of it we're out of it within a fortnight, quite frankly. Gloriously, and then there's an in-between, which I wouldn't take, but I desperately want us to at least get to, which is we're still talking about this with 8 days to go. I do want that, because I don't want, we talked beforehand how we're going to feel about the new era. I think a lot's going to be affected by the next 5 weeks.
You picking a team then? If you wanted to.
Yeah, let's have a go. And I haven't tried. Normally I go straight away, but because I'm so depressed, I haven't. So obviously to keep... Alisson wasn't on the bench last night, so he isn't going to start that one. He probably gets his start maybe in Atalanta.
I think maybe Fulham he starts Fulham.
Yeah, maybe. So forget the keeper for a minute. Trent, again, he's been out a while, so I still expect Conor Bradley was rested, so I expect him to start. Andy Robbo was rested, so I expect him to start. Virgil, he doesn't like Konate to repeat games.
He best fucking had.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not that bothered. I'd rather him at Fulham, quite frankly. So I think he'll bring Quansah back in. I think Gomez will be given a rare.
I like Quansah. Quansah's a good player. I just think that right now you've got to pick your fucking boys. You've got to pick your first 11.
I think Konate's a genuine injury fragile risk, and that's a conversation we're going to have in the summer around transfers and Konate's future at Liverpool. And I do think we have a serious future because they don't back him to play 2 games in a week. And that's
Don't start him against Atalanta.
I totally agree.
So I'm not sure. I think he might be injured by the end of Crystal Palace if you play him. But let's just park that. I get there's a conversation for him, but it's not mad to pick Quansah or Gomez there. But that's not the most controversial choice. And you shouldn't be worried, Palace at home, whether you pick Konate or Quansah or Gomez. You shouldn't be worried.
Mateta's in great form, but go on anyway.
Midfield. Endo's not playing well, and he's played a lot of games. McAllister is one of our best players at the moment. So I think I'm going with him in the 6. In as much as you expect to have a lot of the ball, so it's a 6 that may feel like a much more progressive 6. So that's what I'm doing there. Szoboszlai has played a lot of football and he had a mare. Curtis didn't play well. So who we got? Elliot. I think I'd go Elliot and Gravenberch, something like that.
Whoa.
Or I'd gamble and through a Trent in one of the 8 positions. Up front. Well, Diaz and Salah are shoo-ins. Núñez, you can't keep playing him. Gakpo had a good half hour before he fell off a cliff. But I think, and Jota's coming back. I think I might just gamble on giving Jota an hour and go, fuck it. So I think I'd go Diaz, Jota, Salah, and I'd go McAllister, Elliot, Gravenberch.
For me, Konate's got to start because if he, like you just said, if he starts on a Thursday night, he's got to start on a Sunday. You can't do it the other way around and get beat 3-0 as well. It's just not acceptable. Midfield, for me, I would drop Endo. I would keep McAllister, of course, playing the number 6. So Szoboszlai's got to play for me because I feel like you've got to play him into form. He's running around
and
everywhere.
And drop him in Atalanta maybe in the week.
I'm not sure. I think it's more of an experience thing of Szoboszlai. I feel like he started great at Liverpool, and we were also excited because our expectations were a lot lower, and now they're a lot higher, so we're a bit like, well, where is he? But I think he just needs to be playing to form. For me, Curtis Jones, he doesn't deserve to start. I think he's been poor since he's come back. But it's the only way you get him into form is by playing him, so I think he needs to play into
I do like that midfield, by the way.
Well, the McAllister-Jones Szoboszlai midfield for me is his first choice midfield.
Yeah.
And I think Curtis is just a question of the fitness, and maybe if you can see how he is. The manager obviously knows more than us, but if he looks like he's up to it, I'd be looking to give Curtis an hour.
Yeah, my point on that is, and that's the reason I would go for that midfield as well, is that I think if you got Endo, Curtis and Szoboszlai into your office today and said to each of them individually, you didn't play well last night, I think Endo would go, yeah, I don't know. I think Szoboszlai would go, no, I didn't. I played fine. And I think Curtis would say, yeah, I know I'm what. And for that reason, I think you bounce your first choice midfield now into this game, but also into every game until they run into a brick wall.
Do you not think Harvey Elliott is his case for a start, especially when you're rotating a bit, is now when?
I just don't think he's a first choice Liverpool player, Rob, and I just think that will be the case for a few of them, which I'm fine with, by the way. The other thing, by the way, I'd do is I'd start the keeper.
If you can.
If you've got any kinds of, if you've got an amber light to start him, I'd start because I think you need him for that away leg against these.
Yeah, there's a strong case for that.
And I wonder why. A part of me wonders a little bit why that. Well, a part of me wonders why why he wasn't on the bench last night. Is that he's actually getting Sunday?
Because he's not.
And then he's back in.
Bring him on,
Yeah.
You keep him at all.
If your argument is he's fitting up for the bench,
Your argument is he's back in this morning at Kirby, doing what he needs to do. Why you having fuck about on a bench last night?
Good point.
Bradley and Robertson fullbacks for you?
Bradley and Robertson, there was a weird thing with underlaps last night, which was just like constant. And I'm not saying it'll repeat in this game, but I think it was a case last night where you've seen how much width you can have from those two players when they're not on the pitch.
And up front, who are you doing?
Same three. I'd look to give Diaz,
Salah.
Nunes, Salah.
Go Nunes again. I mean, I love him. He's my first pick in a sense, but he has also played a lot of games and he does pull up. You know, he's marked out. His muscles get tired. I just wonder if you give him the last half hour.
I think he's fine. Well, I think you give Jota the last half hour. It makes more sense to me to give Jota the last half hour.
Gonna win, Palace?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be another roller coaster. I think we'll go 1-0 down again. Generally, I think we'll go 1-0 down again.
I think it's too important for us not to win, so yeah.
Yeah, but it's only about 65% in my mind. Not the 80% it should be.
Still this, 65% rather than the 80% it should be. Biggest game of our lives. 3 more league games with this manager at Anfield. 3 more. Liverpool are top of the league. No one's got more points. It is all about Sunday. It's all about making sure that at the end of Sunday, no one's got more points, and that's the job again and again and again. And this is what we're in it for. It's the only thing we're in it for. Dan Morgan, Pete Bolster, Rob Gutmann. Liverpool need to get back on the march big time Sunday, and we all make it happen together.